UFC featherweight Peter Barrett. It's good to get you back on the show 2 times now before your debut. So hopefully this time around it happens, man. How you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. I'm so prepared for this fight. I think I'm excited to finally make my debut. I'm excited to be in a positive, mind space to do it, to, not have like, I think the last time we talked, I was like on the verge of a mental breakdown because I was trying to train all alone and get ready for my UFC debut amidst the Corona pandemic. So, having snapped out of that, I feel great. Now I'm just like so excited to finally make that walk, and even more so excited that I've been in this environment, that I've been in this facility, that I've done it in a quiet environment already. And that's a shock for a lot of these guys. And thankfully, I just did that with the Contender. So now it's like, it's the same building, it's the same place, it's the same setup, it's the same cage. So like a lot of the new things for people competing during this, I've already done. So it's like, I've already got that feather in my hat. So now I just get to go out there and have a blast.
Definitely, man. Well, we did speak last April, at the start of April, before UFC Lincoln, where you were supposed to make your UFC debut. And
Yeah.
and after we talked, I thought, man, he is training alone, and you mentioned it, and I was thinking like, man, it's like out of everybody that I was interviewing, your situation was probably, I don't want to say the worst, but it was the most hindering, right? That you were by
Yeah.
yourself. What was the anxiety levels for you at that moment? I mean, during that time.
It was a lot. Like it was crazy. And like it mentally, like I had like a little weak spot, and it really kind of like I let the uncontrollables take control. And it was just, it was incredible because like I had to fight, and I knew I was going to show up and fight, but I was more concerned with how unfair I thought the situation was versus focusing on what I could control to make sure the best version of me was ready. And it was just like there was a lot of like, why me, and this sucks, and not like a victim mentality, but it was definitely like, this just didn't feel right for me to be making my UFC debut amidst all of this Corona pandemic, living with a first responder, having to self quarantine, not feeling comfortable letting people come into my house or going anywhere else to train until like, we really had a better idea of what we were dealing with. So man, it like, it shook me. It kind of, I mean, I don't want to say a rock bottom, because trust me, there's plenty of, I've been to a worse rock bottom than what I dealt with doing that. But like, it definitely broke me mentally a little bit and shook me, and made me realize and I've said this to other people talking about this, like guys like my buddy Calvin, who became better through all of this and put on two of the best performances of his life amidst this crazy pandemic and post quarantine lifestyle that we're trying to get used to. And seeing him fight his first fight really like snapped me out of it. And I was texting him and letting him know, like, man, like, I'm just so proud to see you do these things and to get stronger through all of it. And he was like, when was the last time you picked up the Relentless book, which is the book by Tim Grover? And I was like, oh, it's been a while. Like, I normally listen to it during my fight camp, but it's been a while since I've actually threw it on my Audible and listened to it. And um, he's been drinking that Kool-Aid a lot, like really just getting the job done, doing the next thing, getting on to the next thing, staying focused. And I went and listened to that book, chatted with Calvin, talking with Tyson, a couple of my other coaches, and it was just like, it really gave me an opportunity to focus on what I could control, and lead with that step forward, not look at everything that I can't control and how unfair it is that this is what I have to deal with. So that, those things happening, also, getting a better idea of ways to train and be safe about it and not have to worry about, whether we were a risk to get anyone else sick because of my girlfriend's role at the hospital that she works at. So um, it was crazy, man. It was a wild time to be getting ready to fight.
Well,
But
that's a perfect example of having or needing a great support system around you, because you know a lot of fighters, they have toxic people around them, but you seem like you have the right people, so it got you out of that, man, because it could
Yeah.
take you down a terrible road.
Oh, I mean, there was a lot of time. I mean, it was borderline like it, how selfish can I be, in my personal relationships, in my training relationships, not knowing like it was just like I needed my team around me to feel more comfortable, to be more prepared, and it was like you don't real like I mean I know that what I do is a team sport, but not a lot of other people realize that this is a team sport, and when you remove those support systems where you don't have regular access to them, where you don't get to go be a normal person or like your normal goofball self or whoever you are in the gym, like it, for some guys, it's not the same person that they are when they're out, and it's like for some people, like that's like your safe space because those are the people that see you at your best and your worst. So you're usually more comfortable around those guys and girls and coaches and friends. But to remove that and then to feel the same, to try to have that same level of confidence is ridiculous. And it was just once I got to be able to be around my training partners, you value, just that atmosphere in general, to be in that mind space, to be, to have Joe Lozon, rolling in the next group, hey, I'm getting stuck here. How do I do this? How do I do this? You know, all my teams combined, like just having that network and that support system um, is so important, or like to be able now where we've created some small groups amongst the schools that I train at, where I'm with my Muay Thai guys on a couple of days a week, and I'm with my Jiu-Jitsu guys a couple of days a week, and now the focus is on me getting me ready for this fight, but just to have like that camaraderie is night and day.
Definitely. Now, UFC Lincoln gets canceled, which was a blessing for you in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process of getting back to training? Did you start with maybe going to your coach's house or having your coaches come over, or did you go straight into the gyms?
So like the gyms still aren't really open at all. So Joe's been doing outdoor classes, weather permitting. He bought a bunch of grappling dummies, so does his kids classes, his adult classes, just technique based on dummies. Better than nothing. There's no live rolling, but everybody has a grappling dummy. Everybody's training. He does his kickboxing classes outside. And Sit Tong is up in Somerville, and they're not so lucky. The governor of Somerville has pushed back gyms and things until like late phase 3, the beginning of phase 4. So in Massachusetts, gyms have been able to be open under certain circumstances for up to the last month, but the city of Somerville has said no, just no, not yet. We're not signing off on that yet. So it's been closed door, small group training up at that school. We have been fortunate enough with the Lozon guys where one of our buddies had a facility where we could set up some mats outside and get some regular training, weather permitting as well. So we were calling that place the farm, and it was like farm jiu-jitsu outside. We would pull the blue tarp over the top and we'd be under the shade just rolling jiu-jitsu for a few hours a couple times a week. So that was pretty fun. Just getting back into that swing of things, and that's where the training really started. Just it was like me and a couple other guys just doing jiu-jitsu regularly a few days a week, and then my strength and conditioning coach, he was able to open up sooner because the town that he was in had certain guidelines that allowed him to move his strength and conditioning outside. So he took everything that he could take inside, moved it outside, invited all the pro athletes back and said, listen, we're going to set up some times to get you guys ready. Mike Rodriguez is fighting, I believe, at the end of August as well. So he's been up there training with me. And a couple of the other fighters are back in the swing of things getting ready too. So started with jiu-jitsu, then strength and conditioning. Now we work the small groups for the striking and the sparring, and it's just been normally up until this point I've been a guy that's called to help people with their camps to get ready for PFL fights, for UFC fights, for CES fights, for Bellator fights, and it's just cool to see all the hard work that I've put in to help other people get ready now, it's just like been outpouring back towards me to help me get ready for this fight. So it's just like full circle. Like, lost my shit with April, felt like not lost, but like was the end of times in my head. Like, I can't believe it, to like slowly building myself back up to seeing like the community in the Northeast of the guys get together to help me get ready for this fight has just been like eye-opening in itself and a journey in its own right. To like, I'm like to the point where the last time we spoke to where I'm speaking now, like I'm super excited to fight. I can't wait. And this is like, for what it is, this is like the best possible situation that it could be.
That camaraderie you were talking about earlier, man, is
Yeah,
just coming together.
definitely.
August 8th. That's the
Yeah,
date, man. Steve
two and a
Garcia,
half
that's
weeks.
the opponent. What is your breakdown of him and his style?
So he's kind of like a reckless brawler. He's really long boxing, really heavy on his feet. Um, the best thing that we've come up with is that he's really tough, but he's really dumb. As far as practicality, I don't know how he is as a person, but as a fighter, he doesn't set up his power shots, leads with his left side. He's used to fighting orthodox guys. I don't think he's going to fare well fighting another southpaw. He doesn't really check leg kicks. He doesn't really set up his striking. So we've been paying attention to a lot of things, seen a lot of little keys. He opens up with a really big lead hook. So we've worked certain triggers to see certain things to 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 use his triggers, to use as guide points to see, okay, we saw this happening, hit this goal. We saw that happening, hit this goal. We saw this happening, hit this goal. Um, he's missed weight in 2 of his last 3 fights. He normally gasses pretty hard in the first round. He doesn't check leg kicks. We watched him. We watched his stellar grappling with Luis Pena in February or January. So, I mean, I've done my homework. We've watched enough to know what we're getting into without getting super specific. So if something doesn't happen, we're like, well, there goes the plan out the window because he didn't throw that kick. So we've got general guidelines of parameters that I want to stay in, and I think this is a good fight for me to come out and have a lot of fun with.
Where do you see your strengths against Garcia? Do you feel like it's on the feet, on the ground? Is it at distance? Is it close up? What do you think?
Um, I think all around on paper, if we were to put our skills at a 10-point must on our feet, I would say that's about it. I would say that's a 10-8. I would say on the ground like a 10-7. I think he's got his wrestling seems to be underhooks and then back up to the cage. He didn't really he like his fight with Luis Pena is like iconic because his strikes over the back of his head was his only way to get out of having two hooks in. So I mean, the ground, I'm going to throw that up at 10-8. The jiu-jitsu 10-8. I mean, all around, I feel like if he can work his distance, I've had a little bit of trouble with taller guys in the past, but you still saw me take down Vince McGinnis, and then also on the contender, I ended up. I mean, I had to make it some dirty, nasty, ugly wrestling, but I was still able to compensate for a longer reach. So I mean, he doesn't have 175 pounds behind these punches like saying whom you did when we fought. By the time we fought, that kid blew up at least 20 pounds than he did from the weigh-in. So like, I can weather that. If I weather that storm, there's no way in hell I'm not weathering this kid's storm. You know what I mean? So there's just like everything going into this fight just is just perfect. It's awesome. I'm really excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna work to get inside, to get in that boxing range and then threaten his hips and put him on the mat and put my elbow through his forehead. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun.
Well, your mind is strong heading into this fight, but there's got to be still some frustration and eagerness built up from earlier this year. How much of that do you plan on letting propel you in this fight?
I've been telling myself and focusing on bonusing, coming right out the gate, making a statement. How it happens, it doesn't matter. I mean, but I want to let everybody know that I'm here. I want to let everybody know that just because it was a year layoff doesn't mean there's any slight on my ability and my talent. Um, and I'm looking forward to this fight because this is going to allow me to like pay my mom back for supporting me over the years when I've needed help with bills and car payments and things, because I'm not working a 9 to 5. I'm not. This is my career that I've been pursuing, and it hasn't been as bountiful as other careers that I could have been pursuing. So I like. There's some frustrations, but I'm more focused on the good that I can do by winning in my direct circle and in my direct family and the people that have supported me, and use this as an opportunity to like get back up to a level playing field. Because I mean, local pro fighters don't make a ton of money, and normally we run our bills into the other direction while we're trying to get to where we want to be. So this is just like not like a, I don't know. I'm just really excited. I'm in a really good place, and this is just an awesome opportunity for me to do some good for my direct community around me as well.
You've been in that environment, the quiet venue, and if you've watched the other shows, the shows that we've had so far on Fight Island and in Vegas at the Apex, there has been some weird judging going on. Do you feel like that silent environment affects the judging, like with the commentators and the corners, and even like punches and kicks landing with the sound? You know, sometimes it sounds loud, but the impact might not be as as loud, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I didn't really think about it too much when I was fighting on the Contender, but um, my opponent was also speaking Korean, so we couldn't really understand each other's corners. So maybe that's why it wasn't a huge deal. I did say that to someone. I'm like, well, at the same time, they were speaking Korean, and maybe they understood us, but I didn't understand them. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as the judging's concerned, there's no way this fight's going 15 minutes. If I don't end him, I'm going out on my shield trying to. That's 100% there. Like I said, if it's not a $50,000 bonus for knocking this kid out, then we're getting $100,000 split 2 ways for fight of the night. And if old boy doesn't make weight, then I'm getting $100,000 that night. So we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, I mean that whole quiet atmosphere, that quiet environment is crazy. I was actually telling my corners, one of my corners today, I'm like, listen, if you guys see me getting too caught up, too emotional, biting down, getting stiff, I'm like, I really want you guys to just start yelling out some random ass vegetables. So I laugh in a minute and hear like cauliflower, broccoli, like sweet potato, throw the sweet potato. And I'll break a smile real quick and remember I'm in there to have fun, not to just be like a maniac. And that'll be enough to like snap me out of it, but keep me there to remind me as to why I'm in there. You know, it's because I love it and I have a blast while I'm doing it, you know, and it's too easy to get caught up and like bite down and just try to kill your opponent to really enjoy the moment and perform.
Definitely, it's don't look for the kill, but let the kill come to you, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Peter, thank you so much, man, for the time, and yeah, enjoy the fight and enjoy life, man. That's all I can say, and be safe.
For sure. Thank you. You too.